Welcome in, everyone. Sorry I'm so horribly late. One of those mornings. Good to see people in here. Welcome in, Grover, Rita, Summer Breeze, Camilla, if you're in here, Teresa. Anyone else who I've missed? Okay, yeah, I am going to do back-to-back lives. I just kind of figure, well, I'm hoping that the internet will not screw up. It's been pouring with rain since about, I don't know, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock last night. I had no internet in my bedroom at all last night. So I was just relieved when I came in here and did have internet. But that side of the house is kind of patchy at the best of times. So, I mean, my desk here is right by the window overlooking the street, so it should be good. Good to see you, Monkey. Yeah, I've started doing Maddie Mondays, which is basically me pushing back over the fact that Jenn Soto really should have been charged with something. She really deserved it. Oh, thanks, Deborah. Yeah, I'm going to have a break for lunch. So the plan is to try and keep this to about 2 hours, stop, grab a bite of lunch, and then do a Jack and Lily live stream. I agree 100%. She should have been locked up. It was not acceptable at all. Not acceptable that she got off with this. It was not acceptable that Stephan Sterns was allowed to plead no contest. It's basically saying, oh, yeah, probably I did it, but, yeah, you've got me on it, but, I'm not going to actually admit to it. Yeah. Either that or she's got connections or I don't know, but frustrating, beyond frustrating. Thank you for the birthday wishes, Rita and Elmo. It's been a bit of an odd one so far. My day has started with, like I said, raining overnight, heavy rain, so I've had no internet in my bedroom whatsoever. Got up this morning and the front end of the hallway is flooded from the rain, which means that the front porch outside must be like full of rain. So I'm not going to look at my sunroom because I know that's going to be flooded too. And then I managed to pour half of my drink all over the bench this morning instead of into the glass. So hopefully it gets better from here on in. No, that's cool. It's just good to see you in here, Summer Breeze. Welcome in, Hugging Demons. And did I actually say welcome in, Deborah? Welcome in, Karen. And anyone else that I might have missed. Well, today's the 25th here. So technically, I guess if I was in like Canada or the States, it would be tomorrow. But today is the 25th, so it's my birthday here today. Just to confuse matters. It is. It's been so heavy. I woke up and I thought, oh, I've still got some time to sleep in. Thankfully, I checked my phone because it was 9:30. And I was like, holy moly, I've got to get ready for my live stream. So I'm just hoping this rain eases off a bit through the day because because it does come in through the roof in the front porch area, and then soaks into my hallway. My front door's going to be jammed again. So, I'd like it to stop raining and dry out. Not so much my whole house. Thankfully, I'm on a hill, so most of it stays dry. But the at the front, the little front porch area, it's just got one of those flat roofs on top. So if it rains really heavy, it's too wet for the downpipe. Like there's too much water for the downpipe. So it just collects on the roof and then it just soaks through like it's, you know, I've tried to get the landlord to seal it so many times. I never do. So it comes through the roof and then it comes through out into the front porch area. And it also basically runs down the outside of my front door and just comes pouring into the house. And same with out the back, the sunroom's just not very well sealed. So you get a lot of rain and all of a sudden the carpet is sodden. I'm not having a bad day. I'm just having a wet day and a frustrating day. It's just one of those crazy mornings where you think, okay, let's just hope everything's just going to start going normal again. Welcome in, Ariel. Good to see you. I guess it's the world's way of just reminding me I'm still alive. You know, rain's not a bad thing. You know, we've had so many years where there's been so much drought. And that was one of the things I noticed heading out to Malden the other day, how green and lush everything is. So I'm not going to complain. Yeah, I do. I've got a really good quality. I can't think of the brand, but I've got a really good quality carpet shampooer, which I can basically also use to suck the water out from the sunroom. But I'm going to ignore it for now. In the hallway, I just basically throw down towels, wash them afterwards because it's just polished floorboards. So it's just easier just to throw down towels around the doorway, chuck them in the machine afterwards and be done with it. It's, you know, it's a way of it. I guess, you know, if you live in an old house, you're going to have issues like that. All the more reason for me to try and get myself organised and think about moving later on in the year, maybe, or early next year, perhaps. Okay, so on that note, I have, if you didn't see, I did drop another video last night, which was just talking through more of what I brought up in my last couple of live streams with Daniel's big slip up, his big admission, sorry. Turn the brain on. So I dropped that last night. I think I did. Presumably that I did actually make that live before I went to bed, because usually that sort of thing, I get it set up and then I go into bed and I re-edit it and make it live. But like I said, I had no reception in my bedroom at all last night. So I think I made that live. I hope I did. Haven't even checked. Also, apologies to anyone who's got emails, messages, etc. that I haven't responded to, because, yeah, I've had no internet on the other side of my house. Oh, thanks. So I did drop that video. Good to know. So, yeah, Jack and Lily, I did want to do a live stream after this because, for starters, there's so much that I still want to talk about. You know, after I finish going through this sunny live stream, there's other ones that I want to talk about. I want to address Belinda's couple of live streams that she recently did with Susan. And I also want to go back and, now that we're this far in, have a look at some of Durwood's things that he said. So there's that there's a lot of content. But also I've heard that apparently one of the people that was on the property the night that the children, or the day or the night that the children went missing, doesn't want us talking about Lily and Jack. Doesn't want us talking about the case. So my response to that is I'm going to throw in an extra live stream today to make sure that I am talking about Lily and Jack. Because if you tell me you don't want me talking about your children, I'm going to talk about your children. And I'm going to keep talking about your children until there's justice. Anyway, moving on from that. So let's get on to Maddie. And that's the reason why I put Lily and Jack on this image today, because I do want to keep them at the forefront as well. Yeah, no, Summer Breeze, I'm not expecting everyone to turn up for my second live stream. I know it's going to be incredibly late for most people. Even if I'm sitting there going through it on my own, I'm happy with that. I just want to keep the pedal to the metal. It's important to me to be a voice for Jack and Lily. And even if some of my opinions aren't popular, I'm still going to put them out there. I don't have to be right. I can share my opinions. I can say what I see. But at the end of the day, at best, at worst, I guess, I'm getting thumbnails out there into YouTube every day that have got Lily and Jack's faces on them. I'm getting Lily and Jack out into the algorithm every day. So, they've bumped you out to see ads. That makes me really angry, because I never, ever turn the ads on for my live streams. So the fact that YouTube is doing that is downright rude. I actually slept last night, probably because I didn't have internet. And welcome in, Sandra. Good to see you. Yeah, these are this and Kylie Rodney, these are my three cases that I'm so passionate about. So, try and shut me up, essentially. Especially Lily and Jack. I mean, you got bumped out and back in again too. How does YouTube get away with that? That's so it will be starting 3 hours after the time that this one started, whatever that is. So it's 1 o'clock for me. It gives me that kind of 1 hour buffer to quickly grab some lunch, allow myself to finish a bit late with this one, and then jump in. I am praying that Jenn will get arrested. I would like to see other channels still put out a little bit of content here and there. Just pushing, reminding that Jenn's not innocent in this, not by a long shot. Because this is not justice for Maddie. As far as I'm concerned, while Jenn is still walking free, this is not justice for Maddie. Oh yeah, I did see that email. I was going to finish replying to your emails when I went to bed last night, and like I said, I got into my bedroom and I had no reception whatsoever. I went and spent. I thought it might have been maybe I'd run out of data or something, so I went and spent money on a massive data up. Upped my data. And yeah, it was just the internet was out. Yeah, I know a lot of people are very glad that they have YouTube Premium for ads and stuff like that. What frustrates me with people getting dumped out of my live streams with ads is that that's YouTube basically taking their own little cut, because I refuse to monetize my live streams while I'm live, because there's nothing I hate more than going into someone's live stream and being booted out with an ad every 20 seconds. So, because I hate it so much, I'm not going to do that to people on my channel. So when I'm live, there should be no ads whatsoever. It should just be a straight live stream. If you're watching this and I'm live, then everyone who's watching it, then I'm not getting paid for those views, because I do it as a unpaid thing. I don't put the ads on till after I finish the live stream. So YouTube's got no right to be actually throwing in ads while I'm live. That's certainly it's getting worse. It feels like it's getting worse. There are some live streams now that I don't go into at all, because I can't keep up with what's going on. Because not only do they throw the ads in, but when they throw the ads in, the live stream keeps going. So you suddenly get back into the live stream after an ad, and you've missed half of what's going on. So it's just so frustrating. Yeah, well, you shouldn't. There shouldn't be any ads showing on my lives, because I don't monetize them. Because I can't stand myself. Like, I cannot stand when I go into a live stream and I get booted out into ads consistently. So, yeah, I'm not sure why that is happening. But it shouldn't. It really shouldn't. So, YouTube, you suck. You also look at the Internet Archives. Is that how you watch YouTube? You use Internet Archives, and that allows you to watch and skip the ads or something? Is that separate from Wayback Machine? Because I often use Wayback Machine for stuff, but not sure about the Internet Archives. It does. Because if I'm in a live stream and, like, say, out of 20 minutes, I've been booted out into ads 3 times, I'm gone. Usually by the second time, if I'm, like, 10 minutes in and I've been booted out into ads, I'm gone. I'm out of that live stream, because I cannot keep the flow. And yeah, I'm like a lot of you guys. I can't afford premium, so they should make it a bit more user friendly, without obviously penalising content creators. But the throwing in ads with content that's not monetized, that's wrong. I know it is. The way they push is pain in the bum too. There's been times when I've had, like, I've inadvertently clicked on the wrong thing, and it's put the premium thing up, and I've just had to completely close out of YouTube to get rid of it. I mean, sure, I've got plenty of subscriptions in a month. I do not have unlimited funds to just go with one subscription after the next. So, YouTube needs to suck it up, basically. They do. I've noticed a lot of content where you click on it and there's an ad, and I know it's not monetized. So they are getting a major free ride. Welcome in, Isabella. Good to see you. Anyway, let's get on with talking about Jenn Soto again and Maddie. This is the part where he's actually pretty much calling her out in terms of her claiming that the video must be Maddie, the video outside of the church. But honestly, when I look at it again, she's doing her best to avoid actually outwardly admitting that the video isn't Maddie, because it's a convenient alibi, in my opinion. So let's go on with that.
Yeah, they're right out there. They just wanted to ask him a couple things, but I figured I'd just ask you this at the same time for the sake of time.
Just for context, so this is the second interview that Jenn did. Where's Ninchi? Have I vanished? Have I gone silent or something? Please tell me I haven't dropped out. I'm not trusting the internet today. So this is the second interview that they did with Jenn, and this was outside the townhouse. This was just before they locked them out of the townhouse. So it's done in someone's car, by the sounds of it. Oh, good, you can hear me. Karen just got me a bit confused there. So this is done outside the townhouse. This is just before they boot them out of the townhouse. So it's still the Monday evening. So that's why it sounds kind of loud out there, and that's why she's asking about Chris and Stephan, not asking about Stephan, and probably her flatmates, because I think they've got them all out of the townhouse at this point. Yeah, for the most part, this side of the house isn't too bad, but my bedroom just drops in and out at the best of times, because it's on the top side of the house, I guess, probably because of that. But these storms, this weather, like, can we have better internet, please? Anyway, let's go on with this.
Do you recognize this vehicle at all? I wanted to see if I could. So I know it's pretty grainy. It's this one right here. That one's tough, but does that look familiar at all?
No.
You don't know that anywhere?
I don't know that part.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is it's hard to show you on my phone because the quality of the video just kind of gets worse when I've downloaded it from the church's computer, and the quality just gets kind of worse. Can you make out, like, the shape of that being black shorts and that being possibly a green jacket?
I see the green.
Would that, I mean, I know it's very difficult to recognize, but would that be something, some clothes that she owns, or
yes.
Would the quality be too bad for you to be able to tell based on that?
I mean, the quality's terrible.
Yeah.
The color scheme.
Would that be akin to something that she owns?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, so seems unusual for me to be so late. Someone needs to tell Karen to go out and come back in. She must be stuck on the live stream screen. I've had that happen to me before, where I've been waiting for a live stream and it's been going for a while, and then I've discovered that it's been live for a while and I've missed it. So hang on, let me type that in. I'm going to keep going. Can someone just type in go out and come back in? for Karen, and then she should be able to find us. The way Jenn's response here, if you remember, they've given this description of Maddie's clothes. They told them that Maddie was wearing black shorts and a green hoodie, or I think Jenn tried to say it was black long trousers or something. So he's testing her out here. They already know. They already know this isn't Maddie. But they're testing Jenn out to see how she responds. This alone should be something that would be solid circumstantial evidence. Because she knows it's not Maddie on that video. They know it's not Maddie on this video. They're playing this little dance. You're in. Oh, I'm sorry that happened to you, Karen. I've had that happen to me before where I've been waiting for a live stream and then I've gone out and come back in because it's been forever and I've discovered, holy moly, like it's been going for 20 minutes and I've been sitting staring at a blank screen that's been telling me that I was going live. I hope there's no one else doing that. It's annoying when that sort of glitch happens. But welcoming Karen, good to see you. Yeah, so they're testing Jenn out here. And she fails dismally. Because he's basically, the qualities, and he's really, really working her. Really working her. The quality is bad here. So I'm not really sure, but do you think these clothes could be the same kind of clothes that Maddie wears? Is this Maddie's colour scheme? Now, the correct answer here for Jenn would be, yes, that's exactly what that looks like what she was wearing. Or, yeah, but it's not quite right. Because after he's got her to say, yeah, that looks like Maddie's colour scheme, he then goes on to basically strip it all apart to show her that it's not Maddie. That's my problem. There are so many instances here where you can tell the investigators know what the deal is. You can tell that they know that Jenn is lying to them. So why hasn't she been arrested? Now, I know that it went from... Now, was this Orange County, then it went to Osceola County? I always get my brain mixed up. We know that these detectives didn't get to keep the case because then they realised that Maddie went missing from the townhouse and they switched it back to Osceola. So, Detective Hunt and Detective Tagler, they were all over this case. But, it's the prosecution. ASA, what does ASA stand for? And welcoming... I already said welcoming, didn't I? Sorry. The prosecution let this go, in my opinion. They were too lazy. Wanted a bit more relaxation time. I can't help wondering if there was some sort of deal in the background, because I can't... Oh, yeah, Assistant State Attorney. Thank you. Thank you, Summer Breeze. I love you. Very much appreciated. I can't say that I am certain that Jenn didn't know about the videos and stuff that Stephan was taking, because that is thousands and thousands of videos and images in her house, on her watch. So I can't see how she could not have known that was happening. Just for starters. So maybe there was some sort of deal done in the background. Personally, I think they should have just got off their lazy butts and used what they had from Sterns to do their own bust without needing to use her as a witness in any way. But I have always wondered if there was some sort of backdoor deal with Jenn, because we know that the immunity interview that she did, we know that she lied in that. They know that she lied in that. So that shouldn't have given her any sort of immunity there. There was still plenty of things that they could have nailed her on. And in fact, when you listen to that interview, you can hear the way that the lawyer steered around certain things because he knew he had Jenn on it. You're so spot on. They were completely isolated during COVID. They were down at that place down at Charlottesville or whatever it was called, or just near Northport. Just the two of them and Maddie alone. They couldn't go anywhere. It was isolation. It was lockdown. I cannot. You know, I try with all these cases to look at ways that I can debunk things that I'm thinking. So in terms of him having all this footage of Maddie, I think that there's got to be a way that I can prove in my head that Jenn couldn't know about it. But like you said, they had that apartment during COVID where they were in lockdown. Nobody was going anywhere. They were in the same house as each other. And then in terms of the other stuff, before Stephan moved upstairs, Jenn herself has said Maddie never slept in her little bedroom, the fake bedroom. Meaning that if Jenn's saying that until Stephan moved upstairs, him and Maddie and her shared a bedroom, Jenn didn't work. So it's not like we could say, oh, it must have just been the times when Jenn was off at work, because she didn't work. Which means that he had to have had access to Maddie directly in the same room as Jenn. Oh, yeah. Heck yeah. I like that, the unbedroom. That's the best way of saying it. The roommates definitely knew, I swear. There's no way they couldn't. I mean, the fact that Stephanie's best friend, was that Angelica? The fact that she contacted Jenn about Maddie and Sterns being upstairs in that room together, and Jen's like, oh, you're good. You know, I'm not worried, you're good. And then she didn't do anything more with that. They had to know. But yeah, I like the term unbedroom because I think that is a good description. Look, you know, sadly, it could well be the case. We know Jenn has some unusual, no, I shouldn't say unusual because I don't want it to sound like I'm judging people. But no, actually, yeah, unusual. Jenn does have some slight kinks about her. And honest to goodness, based on what we've heard Jenn say, based on what we've heard other people say about Jenn, I think Jenn would be happy to not have to do it, not have to perform herself. Damn, that's a good question. You don't. You really don't. The men that have stepped... Wow. Wow, that's really confronting, isn't it? The men that have stepped up to the mark and taken on the role as a single parent, they will kill someone if you touch their child. And yet you can have a mother like Jenn Soto who will put the man first. Wow. That's really confronting when you think about that, isn't it? There are no cases like this with single fathers. I know. How sick is that? Well, I need a good night's sleep, so you've got to go upstairs. I mean, seriously, Jenn? My dog gets better treatment than Maddie. Half the reason I'm so sleep deprived a lot of the time is because Tarka's getting really old. So when we go to bed at night, it takes hours for her to settle. So I'll be in bed and I'll be just about to fall asleep and Tarka decides she has to go outside. And this can happen 3 or 4 times up until like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning before I finally get to sleep. But, she's my dog and I would do anything for her. And I would get up 100 times through the night if it meant having her forever. And yet Jenn, no, she doesn't want to be woken up. She doesn't want to be disturbed through the night. So she wants a good night's sleep. So just send her daughter upstairs to sleep with Stephan. Yeah. I think that's the side of it too. Women generally don't end up with single dads who has access to his children. And part of that too is I can speak from personal experience. I was in a relationship with a guy, and I won't go into too much details, but his son came and lived with him. And I think kids, when there's another female in the relationship that isn't their mother, my experience was that his son was very jealous of me. And it caused a wedge between the two of us. And it was just easier for me to just go, look, let's just call it a day, because it was not working well for the relationship for anyone. So I think that's a part of it. Because it's not easy. Trust me, it's not easy to be in a relationship with a single father who has custody of one or more children. It's a difficult dynamic. Well, that's the other thing, a woman's not going to move in with a man with, well, it's not likely to happen anyway. You'd hope not. Yeah, exactly. She knocked herself out so she wouldn't have to deal with it. And I suspect that they were the reason Maddie was getting those medications was so that Maddie was knocked out as well. Yeah. Yeah, there are many single fathers looking for mummy replacements. And I think it goes one of two ways. Anyway, I won't go into that. Don't usually go into sharing stuff about my personal life, so I probably should stop there before I continue talking about that. But going back to the way he's trying to set her up here, this is after Jenn was doing the whole, she was seen on camera at the church. And he's gone with, first of all, he's tested her out, asking her if these clothes look like they could be Maddie's clothes. And he knows that this person doesn't look like Maddie, and he's about to nail her with this very gently, but very skillfully.
And the hair looks a little dark in the from here.
Dirty blonde. It could pass for dirty blonde.
That could possibly.
So he's basically told her, yeah, the hair looks a bit dark, as in a bit dark for Maddie, and Jenn goes, well, it could pass for dirty blonde. So again, she's still trying to push that it's Maddie. Yeah, it was that sort of, and you've got to understand too, his son was, heading towards his teens. He'd only just moved in with his father, so it was a complicated relationship anyway. I think personally, maybe the conversation between me and him should have been that maybe I should have considered moving back out again while he got his son settled or something like that, because that would have been, fine. But to bring your son from a completely different state, put him in a new school, and expect him to be in a household with a female that wasn't his mother, that was a lot for a little kid. So I could understand why he did want his dad's attention and why he was jealous and tried to cause that rift between us. It was just a bad situation all round, I think. Yeah, see, now if your child is missing, someone shows you a video of someone wearing similar clothing, you're going to know if they're walking like your child. Welcome in, Amy. Good to see. Yeah. You get that totally. I must admit, I don't know how I would have ever coped if my mum had ever gotten into another relationship after my parents split up. I think I would have been the same. Whereas I absolutely adored my stepmother. No, I have not yet explored that. I've got to go through Paula's FOIA stuff from when that information came out, because I haven't actually grabbed any of that stuff yet from Paula. Because it really does make you think that he drugged Maddie. We know that she was strangled, but also did he give her too much of that? It's certainly something that when that information came out, it was like, whoa, that's kind of huge. Okay, so here she's already trying to push the, oh, well, it could be dirty blonde. She's got to know. Well, she knows. She's got to know. Of course she knows, because she knows, in my opinion, what happened.
Yeah.
Be her. Okay. Is that... I can't tell just from looking at it, but is that Stephan's car? It looks a little darker from there, but I almost can't tell, like, if it's a Toyota or looks a little different.
From the front, looks different. That looks like a Toyota from the front.
From the front, it looks different, right?
And then from the side, it could be.
It's got a little...
Cadillac.
I mean, yeah, the grill is kind of the same a little bit. The headlights look a bit the same. Okay, cool. No, I just wanted...
So Jen's trying really hard here to avoid admitting that it's definitely not Stephan's car. She's tried with the, well, yeah, you know, those clothes, yeah, that could be Maddie. Oh, yeah, he says the hair's a little bit dark. She says, well, you know, could pass for dirty blonde. And then he's nailed it with the car. And she's grudgingly admitted that the front looks very different after him saying it looks like a Toyota. But you can see she's not willing to let go of this narrative, because this was a very convenient narrative to use, that Maddie was seen on the church camera hanging out for a while, and then she left and headed towards the school after that. So he's taken the wind out of her sails, basically. And she can't argue back, because he basically hammered it down when he was like, yeah, the front of this car looks like a Toyota.
To see if you kind of were able to help me with that. So this whole living in the woods thing, I have people like tromping through the woods right now on horses and ATVs and all sort of things, but has she ever mentioned that before?
Just in that text that I saw.
Just that's the only time you've ever heard of it? Is she outdoorsy at all? Does she like camping?
We used to go hiking.
Okay.
But we haven't done that in a while.
Okay.
So we're headed up now to number 2 or 3 or 4. I'm not sure. I've lost track already. Oh, exactly. It's these interviews with Jenn make me so angry, because at the base of it, this is not protecting her. This is protecting Sterns. Now, yes, this is before he was arrested. But even still, she just makes me sick. She really does. I have to be diplomatic about how I say it, but that's the base of the matter. The woman makes me sick.
Okay. Where did you go? Was it around here?
Where would we go? We go hiking in like St. Cloud. Lake Lizzie Preserve is what it's called.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's not too far.
It's about 35 minutes away.
Yeah, okay.
On 182. Lake Lizzie Preserve. We've also walked Shingle Creek before, but we haven't done that in a very long while.
Now, am I correct in saying Shingle Creek is the one that is close to Welcome in, Amy? Shingle Creek's the one that was closer to that townhouse, right? Because in retrospect, this is her again. She knows where Maddie is. The first place that comes to mind is the place that's further out. Now, based on the narrative, Maddie was dropped off at school. How is she going to get 35 minutes away to St. Cloud to go hiking? Yet this is the first place that comes to mind with Jenn. And then she adds in Shingle Creek as an afterthought. Now, I think Shingle Creek is the one where she was later talking about how they got e-scooters and stuff, but she doesn't have it anymore, and that this is near where they lived. Me too, and welcome in, Unky. Lizzie Preserve. We go hiking in St. Cloud, like Lizzie Preserve. Here's the thing. It's not just the fact that this location in St. Cloud comes to mind straight away, but the interview that was done with her friend that lived out at St. Cloud, the one who lived less than a kilometre from where Maddie was found, this friend, they're either their partner used to go hiking with Jenn and Maddie, or I know Jenn and Maddie used to stop at this friend's place on the way out to go hiking at Lizzie Preserve. So not only is it that the first place that comes to mind with Jenn, St. Cloud, which is where Maddie was found, but Lizzie Preserve, which is, it connects directly to the location where Maddie was found, because Sterns was driving along that same road that Jenn used to go along and stop at with Maddie when they went hiking out at Lizzie Preserve. No, I don't think her friend's house has anything to do with it, other than it's the route. It is the same route that Jenn would have taken when she went hiking with Maddie. Welcome in, Sam. So what I mean by that, and I agree, her friend's house doesn't have anything to do with it, but the route that Sterns took is the route that Jenn would have taken to go out to Lizzie Preserve, where she would have stopped at her friend's place. So the fact that it is en route, the fact that the flat tire, he ended up stopping in the vicinity of the friend's place, shows you that he was doing the same route that Jenn used to always do with Maddie when they went hiking. And now when he asks about outdoor stuff, that's the first place that comes to mind, as opposed to the closer location. I have always believed that that's where he was headed. You go up that way, all around like Lizzie Preserve, you've got Gator Lake. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to explain. Stephan didn't know this friend. He didn't know this location that Jenn used to go hiking. This location that is surrounded by lakes full of alligators. And yet he took that exact route. He was on that exact road. And Maddie hit the karma button and went, hang on, no. And he got a flat tire. That, to me, it's too much of a coincidence. Far too much of a coincidence. So for this to be the first place that comes to mind when he's asking about Maddie being outdoorsy or hiking, oh wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Why else? So this is the other thing with this. You're so spot on. There's no way she could not know Summer Breeze. Well, and you get her with that Woody Allen statement. See, the biggest thing for me is that he went driving around all freaking morning with Maddie in his car. drove around till, pythons as well. Oh, wow. He drove around till, 9:30 before he put her in the trunk of his car. And then he heads back to the townhouse. And it's only after him and Jenn have been hanging out together around lunchtime that he suddenly makes a beeline for St. Cloud. Why would he have driven around all morning with Maddie, but then after speaking to Jenn, make a beeline for St. Cloud? That doesn't look sus at all, does it? And, he was there with Jenn when he reset his phone both times. You never hear her say, it's so suspicious because he reset his phone again at midnight this night. She never mentions, not even in these interviews, does she mention that he's reset his phone twice. Like, as a mother, wouldn't you see that as a red flag? And this is my big gripe. Because this is no deterrent. Other parents who see this are going to be like, well, I can get away with it because Jenn did. She should have been made an example. Okay, so you don't know if there's pythons in that area, but they are running amok. Wow. Yeah, so this whole thing here, and then now she's going to come up with this BS, and that's it. It wasn't just a case of she could pretend that she didn't even know that they were sneaking together. No, she's the one that was, I don't care if there's no money exchanged, she was pimping out her child. As far as I'm concerned, it still counts as trafficking. She was still getting benefits from Sterns. He was paying rent that was going directly to her. Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to pretend I didn't know, pretend that I can while being a really, really bad liar. It just, everyone can see through Jenn. There was. Now, wasn't that found in... Oh, that was found in Maddie's unroom. I had wondered if it was... because remember Maddie did little YouTube shorts or something where she danced. And her best friend said that there was one where Maddie had accidentally put her face on there. But, just because it was Maddie's tripod and she used it herself doesn't mean he wasn't using it either. Yeah, I am going to do a second. I'm going to do a Maddie, a Lily and Jack live after this one. I'll basically grab a bite of lunch and then I'll be going live again. Just because I really want to do Maddie. I want to do Lily and Jack today. They took her phone. That's what bugs me. They did take her phone, I believe. Well, they did. Because we got all the data off her phone as well, remember? In the documents, it shows when she was using her phone before bed. It shows when she picked it up of a morning. It shows when she turned the alarm off. And they've also got all the movement clocked for her phone. So to me, that says that there was nothing on her phone. But I could imagine Jenn doing that, basically being like, I'm just going to let him be the one to take the rap for that. And also because if he's the one that was making exchanges, then she didn't really need access to those. She just had to allow them. Yeah, scary but true. I wonder if she knew that he was filming her flatmate upstairs through the bathroom door, under the bathroom door. Yeah, she really does. Jen needs to be made of an example of, because there's going to be more Maddies that happen over and over again. So for me, it would be 1 p.m. So it's quite late for you guys. So like I said, I'm certainly not expecting people to actually show up. Like I said, when I hear that there's people connected to the case who don't want us talking about the case, my response is, screw this, I'm going to do another live stream today. I'm also hoping, as the weather gets warmer and I start getting up earlier, I would like to, on my Maddie Mondays, start Maddie an hour earlier and do back-to-back regularly. But today was just like, nah, I want to talk about Lily and Jack. Yeah. There's always going to be more Maddies until the justice system turns around and says enough is enough. Yeah, there's a case out of, I think it's Mississippi at the moment, with, I think, a 13-year-old girl who was pregnant, and basically she was living with a 20-something-year-old guy, and the parents had allowed it, and the parents got arrested. So that's what I'd heard too, which wouldn't surprise me because of all the issues I had when I was covering this case full time, and my videos kept getting monetized. They don't like me covering Maddie's case. Welcome in, Princess Pillow. Good to see you. My thoughts are that it's got something to do with her connections with the Mouse Resort, because they don't like bad publicity. Oh, I know. I watched her like a hawk. I didn't let her go to sleepovers because I was worried about the men. Yeah, I know, I'm the same. I'm struggling to keep up with the cases that I want to talk about. Now that's a good question. I haven't seen her for a little while. I hope she's okay. I think, everyone hits a point where they need a break from these cases, so maybe she just needed a bit of a break from them. Yeah. I think when you look at Jen's actions, she was doing her best to make sure that Maddie couldn't tell her friends about Sterns, in my opinion. Why would she think that the best friend's father and brother would be any sort of threat to Maddie? Good to see you, Carla. Oh, there's been a few times when we've had several live streams going at once, several Lily and Jack live streams. So it's possible that she was in Sunny's or in Charmaine's. Charmaine's done a few this week as well. I know this is one of my favourite Maddie pictures. There's a few of her around this age that I absolutely adore, and this is one of them. I know. Is this Wiley or Willie? Wiley? She straight up, she said it like it was normal. Oh yeah, I sent them upstairs because I needed a good night's sleep. Like, excuse me, Jen? Do you think that is normal to send your 13-year-old daughter upstairs to sleep with a, what was he, 30-something-year-old man? Like, gross. She did. She had this. She really did have an inner light about her. Such a beautiful little girl. And, you know, again, she's like Lily. You see this. She smiles in all these photos. And we know in the later photos what was going on. And yet she's still, I mean, you can see something in her eyes as well. That there is that sadness there. But she had this glow. Yeah, she sent them. I sent them. Yeah, exactly. She tried to normalize it, and she tried to make it sound like none of it was anything to do with Sterns. Yeah. She was. She prioritized Sterns over Maddie. Exactly. No sleepovers because, you know, she was worried that this father, the man who came home from work and went out searching for Maddie till 9, 10 o'clock at night when he'd already put in a full day's work, and this wasn't his own daughter. And Jen thought he was the person that was a threat to her daughter when neither her or Sterns could get off their asses to go searching, obviously. And then she says, oh, I joked with Stephan about this becoming a Woody Allen situation. Like, it's disgusting. It really is. I know. I've used him on thumbnails if I've been specifically talking about him. But there's one or two photos of Maddie that I've used where I've cropped him out. Oh, I know. Especially because the Woody Allen one, Sterns said something very, very similar. Now, I can't remember the quote with Sterns, but he made a statement as well that was the same as Jen's Woody Allen statement. He referred to it as a such and such kind of situation or something like that. He's like, oh, Jen would joke about this. But basically you have both of them independently telling law enforcement with these comments like the Woody Allen one that what was happening. Yeah, she wanted to stay home by the phone, which was in her pocket, of course. Yeah, like I was always, my grandmother and my mother always said, trust your gut. Yeah, and that's what it is. The reason she didn't want Maddie going to sleepovers is because when girls go to sleepovers, they tell each other all sorts of things. I mean, face it, sleepovers, how often do girls play truth or dare during sleepovers? That would have gone badly. Oh, yeah. The sickening thing for me with Deb Stearns was when she said about Maddie laughing because Maddie said that she had woken up with her leg over the top of Stearns or something like that. And Maddie was laughing about it, and Deb pretty much brushed that off. Yeah, I know. I think of, I never had any like big, lots of girly kind of sleepovers because for me it was usually just, I was always too busy sleeping at my best friend's place. But we would talk until we basically knocked ourselves out from exhaustion. And I can remember choir camps with, 8 girls in a room, and we never shut up. I mean, I was the ADHD kid who in the end would just pretend I was asleep because I was just too overstimulated and didn't want to be part of the conversation anymore. But it's what girls do. I believe it too. Based on what the best friend said, based on what Jenn said, based on those coins, I think that's why Stephan was having a meltdown on the Saturday. I think that's why Maddie was having a meltdown on the Saturday. People pushed back at me because, if you remember, Paula found the Paula found the thing in Reddit where Stephan had been giving advice on one of the forums where a girl had said she thought she was pregnant. And I went back and I looked for that, and I had to go in and use the Wayback Machine. But I also found the comment that had been deleted, the original comment from the girl, which I've got in one of my Maddie folders, so I'll have to pull it out sometime. And looking at it, there's nothing to prove that comment that was made in Reddit wasn't Maddie making that comment, saying that she thought she could have been pregnant. The account was deleted afterwards. The comment was deleted afterwards. All that Paula found was the Stephan's response. But if she'd have gone into the Wayback Machine, she would have found the whole lot, including the account. I know those coins. No, I know I saved them, but I don't think I put them onto. I've saved them separately from the documents, and I will show them probably in my next Maddie live stream. He was charged with, originally, was it 40 or 60 counts relating to possession of, now each one of these counts was possession of 10 or more images or video relating to or depicting stuff with a minor. There were about either 40 or 60 of those charges. with different wording, some of it basically based on Maddie's age. So some of them were slightly different because it had been going on for like 5 years or something. Yeah, thank you. So a lot of them were for a child under 12, which is why they had him up for the DP. But then, of course, he continued from when she was 12 to when she was 13. So there were other charges on top of that. So thank you for the jewels. Very much appreciated. So I think originally there were like 61 charges. When he entered a plea with the possession of materials kind of stuff, he entered a guilty plea for that. And they dropped most of them and they kept, I think, 20 of those charges. And then he entered a no contest plea for her murder. So he also got that. So he ended up with 21 life sentences. So it's not like he's ever going to get out. But he basically managed to avoid having to face up to the consequences in court. Oh, law passed in September, crime happened prior to that, so it didn't apply. Which law are you referring to? I'll be going live at 1 o'clock my time, which is about an hour and a half. Now, is that in itself not a sure sign of Jen's guilt? She tracked Maddie's cycle. Like, she had pregnancy tests under the sink in her bathroom, and yet she's saying that she wasn't having sex with Sterns because she didn't like it. Yeah, that's why it took me a year to come back and talk about Maddie, because I was so traumatized. I was furious. I was upset. I was angry with the prosecution. I was angry with the judge. And it wasn't just the injustice of the plea deal. It was the judge not even bothering with a decent sentencing speech. He didn't even write that sentencing speech before court. He sat there and he wrote notes from Tyler's victim impact statement. And he spoke for, I think it was less than 2 minutes, where he just recapped a few points from Tyler's victim impact statement. And that was all he gave. And then Stephan was allowed to have his own victim impact statement, because that is exactly what it sounded like. Nobody stood up in that courtroom and said, I object. There were 2 lawyers on that other table. 2 prosecution lawyers who sat there while Sterns gave his victim impact speech. You have a judge who sat there while Sterns gave his victim impact speech. And then, when Sterns finished, I was expecting the judge to ream him. And he didn't. That was the ultimate insult. Yeah. Standing in front of Maddie's entire family, well, most of Maddie's family, not Jen. Standing in front of Tyler, Tatiana, Letitia, Yolanda, Stephanie, all of them. I miss her. Not one lawyer stood up and said, "Objection, Your Honour." And the judge let it go, and he didn't even fire back at Sterns afterwards. All he did was like, "Okay, yep, adjourned, thanks, see you later, go enjoy the rest of your life, Stephan Sterns. Sorry that you lost your little girl." Like, I know. He had no right to speak then. No right whatsoever. And it's something that I know that I'm going to fire up every time I talk about it, because it's not something that I can come to terms with in my head ever. Oh yeah, they were done. They didn't care. They were thinking about their next case. Welcome in, Bonza. It's all good. And I'm sorry if I haven't replied to anything. I had no internet at all last night. Thank you. Thank you for the birthday wish. My black spot in my bedroom was like a really, really black spot, like no internet at all, which was so frustrating. It's like you become so used to being able to look at things on your phone when you're lying in bed, and I couldn't get into anything because I had no internet. Oh, that's a good question. I should, because I did a lot of videos. I think that's a really good question. I might have to put together now I have actually somehow ended up with 2 Maddie Soto playlists, and I keep putting these lives into the smaller playlist without realizing. So what I might have to do is put together a smaller playlist of recommended viewing, I guess, so that people who do want to go back over the case don't have to go through, 300-400 videos to try and get to the bottom of it. Yeah, that is one thing true, that he didn't get to see her pictures again in the courtroom. And hopefully, someone mentioned to me last time, cool, okay, well, hopefully we'll see you again, Anki. Otherwise, hopefully you might catch it on replay. Someone mentioned that Chris and Deb have finally wised up to him, and they're not treating him like the precious little boy that they were. So hopefully he doesn't have any photos of Maddie in jail with him. But honestly, I wouldn't put it past Jen to send him photos. Yeah, I think there was a big bust after that. And if you remember, there was that USB that Chris Sterns gave to law enforcement, and I'm sorry, but I can't 100% say that I believe that Chris is innocent in all this. There was a USB that Chris gave to law enforcement that they said had tens of thousands of images on it that weren't Maddie, and that they didn't think they'd be able to identify all the victims. That was you that told me about Deb and Chris. Thanks. It's good to know. So, I should do a proper Maddie video, you know, a doco style video to bring people up to speed. But I'll go through and I'll find the best videos that will bring people up to speed with Maddie's case and put them into a separate playlist for the, you know, recommended viewing, to save people from trying to wade through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos, because a lot of the videos that I did were document read-throughs, because the amount of FOIA that we had for this case is massive. And thankfully we had Plunder True Crime on it, working her ass off, getting one thing after the next in terms of FOIA requests. So there was so much there. Normally I would recommend that, but I covered Maddie's case for 15 months. I was on her case before she was found, and then it was June or July of last year when Sterns was finally convicted. So it was about 15 months of me doing videos every day on Maddie's case. There is a playlist that is a case file playlist, which is, you know, like Lily and Jack, where it's just got no commentary. It's just got all the interviews and stuff like that. So I would probably recommend starting with the case file and watching what's on there, because you'll get a feel for the case there, especially if you listen to the immunity interview that Jenn did. That one was huge. Yeah. You do wonder how they were so agreeable to his plea deal, given what he did. Yeah, he was. That letter that he wrote, that's so disgusting. See, coming from Australia, I had never really thought about the DP, because now someone gave me a date recently, but it was either the 60s or the 70s when the last person was executed here in Australia. It's not part of our law anymore. So, you know, I was raised up essentially in a culture that doesn't believe in the DP. But I was 100% for him getting the DP because of what he did. I know that pathetic letter of his that he wrote. And I remember when it first came out and people weren't sure of the origins of it because they hadn't had the document that spoke about it. And I looked at it and I was saying, yeah, he definitely wrote that. So sickening. There are definitely some who truly deserve it. And I've reached a point, this is not the first time. Well, no, Sterns was the first time. But it's not the last time that I've said with a case that I believe someone deserves the DP. No, it's a whole folder called Case Files, and then it's got a bunch of videos in it that are interviews with Jenn, interviews with Stephan, interviews with Maddie's best friend. Yes, he wasn't meant to have that. He got that from one of his lawyers. Exactly. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he would have actually got the DP. If he'd have gone straight through and been convicted, I think a jury would have been in favour of that, and I think the judge might have supported it. Yeah, well, 21 life sentences is probably as close as you can get. I mean, he could have still just sat there for the next 30 years waiting. I think the thing for me that was most upsetting was that he didn't have to face up to what he did. Had it gone to trial, this would have all been in his face. I mean, there's the flip side that he also would have been able to see images of Maddie again. But had he gone to trial, he would have had to sit there while they showed all the footage of him with Maddie in his vehicle. It would have been hell for Tyler and Tatiana. But, maybe when there's a plea deal on the table, there should still be some sort of requirement that they still have to sit there in a session and watch all the evidence that there is against them. Yeah. I mean, there's two sides to it, but I wish he hadn't have been allowed to plea no contest, because that's just wrong. Maddie deserved better than that. I'll just go a little bit more with this.
Got it.
But no, I know the thing is, I started talking to her about World War III. I was talking about, like, hey, this is going on in Palestine and Israel right now.
Oh, so you're talking to her about the wars.
I was talking to her about just what's happening politically, and I'm like, I don't know what that means for us, but we'll see what happens. But I've talked to her about World War III, so that's why I'm just saying.
How long ago was that? I mean, is that something that might have impacted her?
Yeah, I feel like that's why when I read that conversation, I'm like, oh, that's directly related to me talking to her about what's happening in Israel, Palestine, and the potential World War III that might happen from that.
Okay. And
that's why she said she wanted to go live in the woods.
Okay.
No, it's not. And Jenn knows that. Jenn lied outright here. Teresa, I agree. I think that the law needs to be changed so that if someone is responsible for the death of a child, or if anyone is charged with murder, the choice should only be guilty or not guilty. No contest is not acceptable in a situation like that, especially not when there's 40-something extra charges on top. Yeah, exactly. That's the downside of it. Taxpayers have to basically pay to keep him alive for the rest of his life. Yeah, he can buy his own root beer barrels. Screw that. Yep. I can tell you now that with Bryant, a number of first responders in the years after the Port Arthur thing, I probably can't say that here, there were a number of first responders who ended things for themselves in the years following. The first responders who had to put Bryant out when he was in flames coming out of that house, I feel for them. because there would have been that part of you that would have wanted to see him burn. And all the staff in the hospital who had to treat him for months on end with his burns, they're saints. And yeah, I mean, Brian and Milat, two people who in Australia here who definitely should have had a DP. I know. Now, if you didn't know, if I just played you one part of this interview out of context, and I didn't tell you anything about the case, you wouldn't know this is the mother of a child who 24 hours earlier she reported her missing. She's so chipper. It's insane. Oh, yeah, exactly. She is just disgusting. She's the most disgusting person on the planet. Oh, yeah, let's, scare the crap out of our daughter saying that, World War III might come and, we might all die, but it's ridiculous. But the thing is, she's saying this because she knows that the message between Maddie and Maddie's best friend about wanting to go live in the woods because of Jenn, she knows that message is no longer on Maddie's phone. Because when they went to the townhouse at around midnight the night before, and Jenn, because Stephanie had found that message, Jenn brought it up and then realised that it was gone. So she knows that they can't prove that she's lying here. This lie's better because it doesn't blame Jenn for anything. It's easier to deflect and say she thinks Maddie ran and hid in the woods because she's spoken to her about World War III, as opposed to Maddie did tell her friend that she wanted to go live in the woods because she doesn't like me or she doesn't get along with me. Would I ever do a Bryant video? No. His family lived next to my grandmother. He went to school with my brothers. My memories of him and his family, when I was quite little, Grandma had a massive, massive backyard. It was on a double block, so it was a couple of acres and full of fruit trees, full of there was this gorgeous willow tree down the back that we would play under because it was just like a nice little hidden away spot. And he used to come out into their backyard and he would climb up on the fence. You know how you get the rail at the middle height of the fence? He would climb on that rail and watch us play over the fence. Now, he's somewhere in age between my sister and my brother. So he's somewhere between 3 and 8 years older than me age-wise. But he scared the crap out of us. The way he used to watch us over the fence, anytime he came out, if he climbed up on the fence and started watching us, we would just go inside in the end because he freaked us out so much. And this is his children. There's a doco that was done about him, and they do the sad story of he was bullied at school. He was a freak at school. He deliberately used to do things at school that were just weird, sick. He was an outcast because he was a sicko. And the other kids didn't like him and they bullied him because he was basically asking them to pick on him and bully him. The stories my brothers have given us about him, he was a sicko. My uncle was telling us about how he used to, up until when he moved out of his parents' place, his father bought him an air rifle and he used to sit there and he used to shoot the rosellas. These are those beautiful rainbow-coloured parroty-looking birds that we have here in Australia. And he would go outside and he would shoot rosellas. And the other side of it too is that my mum was a volunteer ambulance. My mum was a volunteer ambulance person for where she used to live because it was a small community. And she was working in the radio room when the calls started going in. Well, she wasn't working. She was training in the radio room when the calls started going in. And she heard the whole thing in real time. So there's a lot of things there that make me want to not go into detail of what happened, because I know the family too well. His sister is somewhere in age between me and my sister. And she used to come to our place for organ lessons because Mum used to teach organ after school. And she was lovely. I liked his sister. She was normal. She was probably the only person or normal one in the family. But any time it got towards the end of her organ lesson, I would go and play outside in the backyard because I didn't want to be in the house when his mother came to pick his sister up, because his mother was scary as well. So, you know, so many things that I just don't want to look at what he did. And I think for many of us in Tasmania, the face of the Port Arthur, like, he killed 35 people. And the face of what happened is those two little girls, Madeline and Alana. I can't remember ages. I'm thinking 4 and 6, but I've got to be wrong. That can't be right. But they were little girls and they were just out there having a picnic with their mother. And he shot their mother in front of them. And then he shot one of the girls, and the other little girl ran and tried to hide, and he shot her. And for that, you know, for so many people who were, I mean, this is an area that was really, you know, it was close to home. It was my, you know, it was around where I used to live. It was, yeah, it's just sort of, there's so much to it that to actually go through the details of what happened, I don't think I could ever do that. This breaks my heart too. little Leo. Well, I suppose I've never been on telly as a guest of anything though, Amy, so I'm not quite sure. I mean, maybe I could do without talking about what he did, I could do a video just talking about, you know, the background of it. I could never talk about what happened though. I don't think, had Leo not been, so this is talking about little Leo Escalante. I truly believe, had he not been a little native boy, that bloody David Vanderwanker wouldn't have had his charges dropped. This is another case that I've been covering and I struggle with it, and I do need to do some updates, but it's one that, again, just, it's one of those cases that's hard to talk about, because this little 2-year-old boy, his mother had a no contact order with her boyfriend, and yet she left her little 2-year-old boy with him so she could go get her nails done. Yeah, that too. Honestly, I can keep going with the variations of Vander something all day, because they deserve it, the pair of them. You know, leaving your 2-year-old boy with a violent with a violent person that you shouldn't even be having contact with, just so you can get your nails done, and your child ends up dead as a result. And then just the way they dealt with it, the way he got his father to say, oh, I was the one looking after him. I still can't understand how his charges were dropped. How is that possible? They had him banged to rights. They freaking went and hid out in a cabin. They do, and it sounds like Leo's mum saw it that way. Oh, it's all good, Amy. Yeah, definitely. Or parents who fail to protect their kids from predators or violent people also deserve that. It's just, it's heartbreaking. It's just so sad. The number of kids who've been failed by their parents. Exactly. And all these kids that deserved so much better, and they were just a burden to the parents or an afterthought for the parents. Actually, when I think about it, another similarity that I see between Jenn and Malaya is the tendency to treat their daughter like a doll, like something to, like a trophy almost. Because They both, Jenn and Malaya, both had so many posed photos of their daughter. Seems to me like, Jenn probably enjoyed the attention that Maddie got. It was that vicarious thing of she had this beautiful, beautiful daughter who was so photogenic, so adorable, had this beautiful light to her, just like Maddie, just like Lily. And Jenn and Malaya both. It's like, let's parade them in cute clothes. Let's take lots of photos of them. Let's treat them like a dress-up doll. But we're not going to protect them. Yeah, exactly. And then David's like, oh, we didn't know. Oh, we didn't know they were there, or whatever it was, pretending like they didn't know that they were supposed to come out of the cabin. Yeah. And that's what Jenn was doing. And welcome in, Milky Way Girl. That's exactly what Jenn was doing. She didn't want to put out for Stephan. So it suited her just fine to offer up Maddie because it got her off. It meant that she could have a good night's sleep, because that's what it comes down to. By offering up Maddie, she could have a good night's sleep because Stephan wasn't going to ask anything of her. That is the bottom line with Jenn Soto. Yeah. That's exactly how Malaya treated Lily, like a dress-up doll. In that recent interview, when Malaya said she would, Lily liked to, something like she liked clothes, she'd like to dress up, I'd give her a choice of 3 and she'd choose one. In other words, Lily wasn't choosing her clothes. Lily was choosing from the selection that Malaya had already chosen for her. It was. She was just a dress-up doll, just like Maddie. And both these women prioritised their partner over their children. And, this is where we're at. 3 children who are gone. Thanks for coming in, Summer Breeze. Good night. Get some rest. 3 children who are gone because their mothers didn't see it as a priority to protect them. And I could add Leo to that. I could add so many more to that. It's, this is why Jenn Soto needs to be arrested. Because there needs to be a message put out there that as a society, we're not going to sit back and accept mothers who don't protect their children. This is the message that needs to be out there. And this is why I keep coming back to no, I could do that. It would have to. I could do like a yeah. I'll talk about that off stage, like later on. Whoops. And that's what it comes down to. The justice system is giving too many women a pass when their children have died as a result of their choices. Where's the arrest for Leo's mother? She had a no contact order. She asked the judge to have that order lifted, and the judge said, "Nuh-uh, no way, F off." And yet, now we can't confirm it, but it does appear that she was living with the scumbag. And she leaves her baby boy with him, knowing he's violent. Maddie. Jenn didn't like to perform for guys. So instead, she just handed over her daughter to Stephan. That way, she could get a good night's sleep. And Stephan would still stay around because for some reason she liked having Stephan around. So, how do we keep Stephan here? Well, we'll just offer up our daughter. Yep, exactly. Exactly. It is no different from leaving a loaded gun with the child. There needs to be more accountability for mothers who don't protect their children, in my opinion. I understand the complications. I understand the psychological issues involved. But I also understand that children are dying because their parents aren't protecting them. We've got Leo, who was 2. Jack was 4. Lily, 6. Maddie had only just turned 13. And apparently we can't hold the mothers responsible. Exactly. Yeah, you go get some rest, BTTB. I'm just glad you're still here with us. Please get some rest. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here because I do want to go grab a quick bite of lunch, and I do want to come back and do a live stream for Lily and Jack today. Because like I said, I'm not going to stop talking about Lily and Jack. I don't care who wants me to stop talking about Lily and Jack. I'm here for Lily and Jack. There'd have to be more specifics to that, but I do think the laws need to be changed, and custodians need to be, oh, thank you. Custodians need to be held accountable more than what they are, especially mothers. That works really well. I'm going to go and scoff down some food, and then, yeah, I will be back for Lily and Jack. Hopefully those of you who come in for my Maddie live streams will be here again same time next week for another Maddie Monday. Thank you so much for coming in, everyone. Please hit the like button on your way out because it's always very much appreciated. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up here. So thank you, and I'll catch you in the next one.